Welcome back to the channel, everybody. You were watching probably at Disney, but as you can see, we're not at Disney World or Disneyland or anything connected to the House of Mouse. We are at Universal Epic Universe, which officially opened to the public on May 22nd and that I was able to preview. And I wanted to share some thoughts and reactions that hopefully you haven't heard yet, and some things that I think Disney park fans need to see. Then, I want to talk about Disney's latest delayed announcement and the mystery surrounding all of that, as well as a new paywall at Walt Disney World that I think everybody, myself included, missed until now, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on. But first, we're going to kick things off at Epic Universe, and let me tell you, Epic Universe is not the Universal Orlando Resort Park experience you're familiar with. In fact, this park in many ways is more Disney than Disney has been in recent years. And not only is that not being talked about enough, but there is a reason for it that I'm going to get into. I also want to note that I'm really not a big fan of any of this park's IPs, so the fact that I was impressed as I was shows that it's not necessarily IP that wins over park guests, it's quality and execution. And that is what Epic Universe has done. But we're gonna start with Celestial Park, which is one of this park's 5 theme lands. And it is the entrance, it is a hub land, very much like Main Street USA, but it's way more open. I would describe it as if you married Disneyland or Magic Kingdom's hub and spoke design with what I think the Epcot redo should have looked like. Can you imagine all of this in the space behind Spaceship Earth leading up to World Showcase, and all of this instead of that concrete planter we've got now? Just saying. Now, I was told by a Universal team member ahead of visiting Epic Universe not to sleep on Celestial Park, and they were 100% right. While it is a hub and it serves to transport guests from one location to another, it has a developed storyline, one that supports the entire park. And unlike other Universal parks, I'd argue it really ties all of Epic Universe together. It is the glue. And I was blown away by how much detail and design Universal Creative put into it. There's so much kinetic energy contrasted with garden-like landscaping, all of these private paths that aren't obvious, kind of like Animal Kingdom, but you have to discover, and that offer escapes and photo ops. And every shop, every restaurant is high scale in its design. It's all unique, but yet manages to meld and complement the Celestial Park story. It's basically a symphony of a land. The only issue is shade. Shade is a massive problem here because all of the trees have not grown in yet, but this is the place to wander or hang out in or have dinner in after dark, kind of like Epcot's World Showcase. Also, it has 2 home run attractions, Stardust Racers, which may be the best roller coaster right now in Orlando. I'm personally not sure if it's better than Velocicoaster or not, but it's a close contest, as well as Constellation Carousel. This is the best carousel I've ever been on, thanks to its 7 different turntables that creates more of a dance between the ride vehicles and to the rhythm of different instrumental songs. I can't describe it in a way that does justice, you just have to ride it, but know that this is a ride that every single member of the family, regardless of age, will enjoy. And as a bonus, Celestial Park has not 1, but 2 Starbucks locations, which instantly elevates it on my list. Now, the lane with the most to do is How to Train Your Dragon Isle of Berk. It is built around a lagoon and offers 3 rides, a show, a kids' playground area, and multiple character meet and greets interactions, including that toothless meet and greet that's been dominating social media, and that presentation of the robotic dragon that does a little show. This land feels very alive, and it accomplishes the sensation of being immersed in an animated world, but without looking too cartoony or like Toontown. But since I'm keeping this brief, the only other thing I'll say about Berk is that Hiccup's Wing Gliders, second best ride in the park in my opinion, probably third for everybody else, second for me. It is fantastic, like an elevated Slinky Dog Dash. Don't miss it. As for Super Nintendo World, I definitely have some thoughts on this land. In some ways, it's some of Epic Universe's best work, and then some of its worst, and that includes the food too. I'm thinking about diving into all of that in another video, so I'm not going to give too much away here, but I will say the queue for Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge is one of the best I've ever experienced. It's very Disney in its execution, and to the degree that I liked the queue more than the ride itself. However, I do think this land is likely to be the hottest in Epic Universe because there is no natural shade. It's also very stimulating and a little confusing to navigate due to its multiple levels, stairs, and elevators. So more to come on that. But now let's talk about the most Disney-like lands in Epic Universe, and that's the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, Ministry of Magic, and Dark Universe, the home of Universal monsters. Now I gotta be real here, I don't like scary things or horror or Harry Potter, but I was blown away by these two lands, and I think much of that is due to a former Disney Imagineer, Peter Cursillo, who served as the creative director of both of these lands and was their described vision keeper, which is a really cool title. I'm hoping to do a deep dive on Cursillo and his Disney World resume, as well as what he had to say about Epic Universe and what it's doing right and how guests should experience theme parks. So let that be a teaser for a future video. But I will tell you now that he did work on the extended queue for Magic Kingdom's Haunted Mansion back in 2011, and his background on Haunted Mansion really served him well in Dark Universe, which he did say was completely sculpted. No 3D or digital creations here, which is something I think Disney World is doing too much of right now. And I feel like the queue for Monsters Unchained, which is the main attraction in this land, you literally get to enter through the front gate of Frankenstein Manor and explore its different rooms, ascend its staircase. It's kind of like a walking tour through an alternative haunted mansion. I have to wonder if this ride is kind of what you wish the queue was at that classic Magic Kingdom or Disneyland attraction. Now, since I'm not a fan of horror, this ride was not my favorite, but everything you've heard about the animatronics in here are true, and there is a real fleshed out story being told here that begins the moment you enter the land, which is so Disney by the way, and has a conclusion, but yet one that leaves you to interpret or draw your own conclusions about a certain question. It's definitely more than just your typical ride story where something goes wrong. This one makes you think. Now, as for the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, I don't have to tell you that it is fantastic. You knew that already, as Universal has never failed to deliver with its Harry Potter land, with the first being probably the first time Universal ever topped Disney at their own game. And that tradition continues here, but dare I say, they went bigger. The scale of the buildings in this land, which is 1920s Paris, inspired by the Fantastic Beasts franchise, by the way, feels like you're truly in Paris, France, and in a bygone era. I actually heard someone around me comment on how this really outshines Epcot's Paris, and unfortunately I have to agree. Also, like the previous Wizarding World, this one has paths and alleys to explore, and even a hidden restaurant. That's all I'll say about that for now. But the ride, which is Harry Potter at the Battle of the Ministry, is a knockout double punch with its queue, which is the largest and longest queue I've ever been in my life. I feel like there is a city inside this queue. And the ride itself is as if you combine Tower of Terror with Rise of the Resistance. And yes, that animatronic everyone's been talking about, I think it just took the crown from the Shaman of Songs at Navi River Journey at Animal Kingdom. Still, yes, there are some pros and cons with this ride in its queue, which I'll be sharing more about, but overall, this is the land that I kept coming back to, and in addition to Celestial Park, this is where I would want to hang out. So that's my initial reactions and reviews of Universal's Epic Universe. Again, my goal is to share more about that park if the Disney park news cycle doesn't get in the way. And that, of course, includes this major Disney announcement that appears to have been delayed. I reported a few months ago that reliable sources were claiming Disney was going to make a major Walt Disney World announcement on May 22nd, the day Epic Universe officially opened, with reports that had something to do with Hollywood Studios' animation courtyard. Well, May 22nd came and went with nothing, and I have to admit I wasn't too surprised, as after I reported on that story, tariffs and fears about the economy began to dominate the news, leading me to speculate if Disney might be pumping the brakes on its already announced projects in addition to what it hadn't yet to announce. That might be the reason this animation courtyard reveal is still a mystery, but other speculation suggests the announcement may not have been as big as fans were hoping for, and it would have paled in comparison to Epic Universe's wall-to-wall coverage and positive reception. I also personally think it would have been in poor taste for Disney to try to grab the spotlight on Epic Universe's opening day. If anything, it probably would have looked a little desperate, and that could have become the story instead of what Disney was going to announce. So for the moment, this mysterious plan remains under wraps. But if Disney is still committed to it, which I've heard rumblings that they may be, and they don't want to wait until D23 in August, I would not be surprised if they make it public after Muppets Courtyard closes, either on or around June 7th. Finally, let's talk about that new Disney World paywall that I think we all missed. Now, it is no secret that Disney has put a paywall on its attractions with Lightning Lane and Premier Pass, and yes, I know you can ride these rides without paying for the option to skip the line. But being able to skip the line used to be free with Fast Pass and Fast Pass Plus, and the way Disney has handled Lightning Lane and Premier Pass, basically, if guests or families on their first, maybe only visit, want to truly experience what the park has to offer, and they don't have the luxury of time, they kind of have to pay for it. Which is why Disney Park Chairman Josh D'Amaro's recent public comments about the value they're offering in the parks infuriated me, because there's less value now with your park ticket than any time in recent memory. It's an outright lie. But now, with The Little Mermaid, a musical adventure, and Villains Unfairly Ever After opening on May 27th, again, I think I uncovered another paywall. So, in addition to the post-COVID rollout of Lightning Lane, Premier Pass, and etc., Disney notably cut back on live entertainment in the parks and resorts, especially at Walt Disney World, and this included musical acts, performers, Streetmosphere, and the citizens of Main Street and citizens of Hollywood. And this was met with backlash and concerns from fans about Disney's focus on rides alone, which they could charge extra for, while cutting costs on live entertainers, which they couldn't. Well, now we've got 2 new shows coming to the parks, which is live entertainment, which is a good sign. However, the entrance to the new Little Mermaid show shows that it will have a Lightning Lane entrance, meaning Disney will also be making revenue off of this show. And again, that is not a surprise. Almost all Disney World attractions offer Lightning Lane. And while Villains Unfairly Ever After's Lightning Lane sign has not been displayed at the time of recording, it's expected to offer Lightning Lane as well. But here's the issue. Yes, Disney is bringing in more live performances and entertainers, but only in a way that they can generate additional revenue through Lightning Lane and Premiere sales. All while the free entertainers that used to roam the park offering spontaneous experiences and atmosphere still have yet to return. If the latter were brought back, I wouldn't have much of a problem with this. But since they haven't, it does appear like live entertainment is behind a paywall right now, and especially at Disney's Hollywood Studios. Be sure to let me know your thoughts on this in the comments. I'd like to hear your opinions and if you agree or if you have a different perspective. But that's all I have for today. Do stay tuned for more Disney Park news and breakdowns. I'm very interested in the upcoming debut of Villains Unfairly Ever After, as I think it has the potential to show us what Imagineering is thinking about for Villains Land at Magic Kingdom. Also, I'm hoping to release that additional Epic Universe content because this park is theme park history, And like I said, it is the most Disney-esque Universal Park I've personally ever experienced. And if you enjoyed today's video, if theme park analysis is your thing, please consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel and even becoming a channel member. I can't tell you how much it helps this channel out. And please leave a comment about your thoughts on Epic Universe, which land you like best, and if you think that delayed Disney announcement is still on the way, and maybe even what you think it is. But regardless, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a magical day.